Pháp dương vô thượng tôn, tam giới vô luân thập. Thiên nhân chi đạo, sư tử sanh chi từ phù. Nhất niệm quy năng diệt tam kiệt. Sướng dương nhược tán thán, ức kiếp mạt năng tầng.
Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. We start with the reading from the sutra text. Subhuti. This is why the great bodhisattvas should generate peaceful minds in this way. Should not have preconceived bias based on visual forms to influence the mind. Should not have preconceived bias based on sounds, odors, flavors, touch, and dharmas to influence the mind. Should have no preconceived bias from anywhere to generate the quiet mind. A-di-đà Phật. Here is a very important section of the sutra, where the 33rd patriarch Fayan heard and had a great awakening. It is the part that says, should have no preconceived bias from anywhere to generate the quiet mind, or in Chinese, ưng vô sở trụ, nhi sanh kỳ tâm. If any of you truly understood this phrase and had a great awakening, then you are at the same level as our 33rd patriarch. The Buddha taught that any bodhisattva who wished to have a peaceful mind should not initiate a thought that is based on forms, sound, odor, flavor, touch, and dharma. He should not initiate and base his thought anywhere at all. This phrase is unbelievably profound. If a bodhisattva is stuck on any of these 6 sensations, then pains and sufferings related to these 6 dharma worlds would arise and cause his mind to be troubled. In summary, although there are an infinite number of phenomena or materials in this world, they are not beyond the 18th world created by the mind, which are the 6 senses, the 6 sensory worlds, and the 6 consciousness. These 18 worlds help each being distinguish the internal and outer world. According to the Surangama Sutra, the Buddha of the 10th direction confirmed whether all beings be condemned to sufferings or be guided back to their pure mind are dependent on the usage of their 6 senses. Both the saints and commoners use the same 6 senses. When the 6 senses enter the sensory world, then that belongs to the commoners. When the 6 senses leave the sensory world, then that belongs to the saints. Therefore, for a practitioner, he must know how to use his 6 senses. He should choose the sense that he can easily control and start with that one first. In the Surangama Sutra, the Buddha did say that of all the 6 senses, hearing is the easiest to master. If you could not leave the sensory world, then the worldly thoughts could not be removed and will always be with you. The 3 poisons, which are greed, anger, and ignorance, will always be with you. If you can leave the sensory worlds, then you have just started to enter the holy path of a stream enterer. There are those who practice for many lifetimes, when hearing this section of the sutra, will suddenly become awakened. I think since I have begun the Diamond Sutra lecture, some of you here in this room have already awakened and understood their pure mind. On the path, the reason you practiced but were not successful was because you did not know which door to open to enter your pure mind. Most practitioners who practiced but did not have the right teacher to show them clearly would always end up practice blindly. Just like me when I just started out, I had a preconceived idea about chanting the sutra. I thought the more I chanted, the more blessing and points I would receive from the Buddhas. When I saw fellow monks or Buddhist worshippers, I would chant loudly to help fellow members to practice more diligently, or have my voice fill up the emptiness so the Buddhas would hear and give me more points. What I have just said showed a delusion that I was under, but did not realize at the time. Today you all have practiced many lifetimes in order to have a chance to hear this sutra from me, who has gone before you. This demonstrates the immeasurable blessing that has bestowed upon you. Therefore, if you can take this opportunity to further practice and achieve the desired result, then you should also impart your knowledge and experiences to all beings of future generations who are still deluded, so they could have a chance to free themselves from the attachment of the world. A-di-đà Phật. This is the section of the sutra where the patriarch Fayan was greatly awakened. When he heard Ưng vô sở trụ, nhi sanh kỳ tâm, he then said the following lines. Excellent. The Diamond Sutra is so great. Who would have thought the pure mind is so peaceful? Who would have thought the pure mind neither creates nor destroys? Who would have thought the pure mind is self-sufficient? Who would have thought the pure mind is inactive? Who would have thought the pure mind contains all dharmas? The phrase, who would have thought, shows that when you are deluded, you could not see that your pure mind contained all dharmas. We thought that the phenomena or dharmas are outside, but all dharmas already existed within all beings, pure mind. When deluded, you could not see because the outside phenomena distract your mind. You follow it blindly and ignore your pure mind, which is opposite of what a Zen practitioner is supposed to do. A practitioner who practices correctly does not really need to read any outside sutra, but focus internally so that his mind becomes peaceful. Any thought that is ego or dharma bias would slowly dissipate it. This is an experience that I personally have seen. Automatically, my mind found a way to leave the worldly thoughts and brought the focus back to the blissful mind. We now continue on with the sutra text. Subhuti. If the reward body of the Buddha is as large as Mount Sumeru, then is that reward body large? Subhuti answered, World Honored One, it would be very large, but like thou hast said, does not see thy reward body as large, is truly very large. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. The Buddha had three bodies: the blissful Dharma body, the reward body, and the incarnated body. The Dharma body is the essence of Buddhahood or Buddha mind. The reward body is a body obtained as a reward for completing bodhisattva practices. It also represents the wisdom body. The incarnated body represents the physical body of the Buddha. So when the Buddha asks if the reward body of the Buddha is as large as Mount Sumeru, is it really large? Subhuti answered, yes, it would be very large, but not seeing thy body as large would be truly large. Mount Sumeru is the king of all mountains, and is one of the pillars that hold up the great Chiliocosm. If it collapsed, then all the world in the three realms would be destroyed. When we talk about the reward body, then the physical eyes of commoners cannot see this body. The Mahayana Bodhisattvas can see the reward body through the vision of their prajna mind. Subhuti said the reward body is very big because his mind was incorrectly conceiving the reward body's form. The largeness that can be measured or visualized is not large. However, something that is immeasurable or inconceivable would be truly large. The Buddha used this example to help eliminate biased opinion from one's mind. If done correctly, then all differentiation and comparison are no more, and your equanimous character would appear. As long as you still have Dharma bias, then you will continue to have anguish and distress. This bias will create 84,000 Dharma conditions and stress. These conditions and stresses go hand in hand with each other. Therefore, you need to be careful. If you still have Dharma bias, then you will have pain and sufferings. This is unavoidable when your mind still generates thoughts. Now we go back to the sutra text. Subhuti, imagine all the sands in the Ganges River, and yet there are as many Ganges River as the amount of sand in one Ganges River. Will that amount of sand in all of them be great? Subhuti answered, World-honored one, great indeed. The number of Ganges rivers would have been incalculable already, so it would be inconceivable to consider all the sands in them all. Subhuti, I will declare this truth. If there is a good man or good woman, fill the great Chiliocosm with the 7 types of treasure for each sand grain of all those Ganges River, and offer in charity them all away. Will that person gain great blessings? Subhuti answered, World-honored one, great indeed. The Buddha declared, Nonetheless, if a good man or good woman study this discourse and retain 4 lines and teaches or explain them to others, then this blessing would be even greater. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. You can see that this sutra is not even greater than 100 pages. Then why reciting it would have greater blessing than all of those treasures that were given in gifts of alms? This is easy to understand. It is because the blessing you would have gained are limited and worldly in nature. It would only help you in your reincarnation back and forth within the 6 levels of rebirth. Whereas When you study, explain, and practice the teaching of this sutra, then you are following the pure prajna path, like the way of the Mahayana Bodhisattvas and beyond. This sutra can help a Zen practitioner to complete his goal. But if he could also teach others to understand and practice, then his merits would be immeasurable. Even if you could read and understand 4 lines of this sutra, your blessing would also be immeasurable. Why is that? It is because not anyone could have a chance to read and understand it. Today there are over 7.5 billion people on this earth, and yet how many have the karmic connection to read and understand this sutra? It is a very small number. Hence, if you could do this, then you probably have been practicing for countless lifetimes in the past, and your blessing would be immeasurable. This blessing could guide you to reach the level of a Mahayana Bodhisattva, and even the level of a supreme enlightenment of the Tathagata. Back to the sutra text. Subhuti. Furthermore, wherever there is a lecture of this sutra, even as little as 4 lines, then that place should be venerated by gods, men, and asuras, and should be respected as if it was a Buddha shrine. How much more would it be if someone was able to read and recite the whole sutra throughout? This person would attain supreme prajna wisdom. Subhuti. If there is a place that worships this sutra, then that place would have the presence of the Buddha and his honorary disciples. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Like I have discussed last time, this sutra is the mother of all Buddhas. Therefore, wherever this sutra is worshipped, for sure, that place would have the Buddha's presence. Why is that? It is because you all are Buddhas, but currently, you are still deluded. But once you hear and follow its teaching, and eliminate the 4 forms, then the Buddhas would automatically appear. This is true. Do you see that? You all already have a Buddha in your mind, but due to delusion and ignorance, you could not see him. The Buddha also said his disciple would also be where there is worship of this sutra. That is correct, because without the disciple who understood the words of this sutra and disseminated, then this sutra would not be made widely known to this world. They had countless lifetimes of practice and had enough karmic connection to reincarnate back into this world to continue spreading the message. The sutra's existence itself represents the Buddha's honorary disciples. The Buddha also said that those who study and recite this sutra will attain supreme prajna wisdom. The more you study and recite it, the more you will understand and know which road to take to enter your pure mind, which is itself the diamond prajna wisdom. This is the Buddha within you. Now back to the sutra text. At that time, Subhuti asked the Buddha, "O honored one, by what name should this sutra be known as? How should we receive and practice it?" The Buddha replied, "Subhuti, this sutra will be known as Diamond Prajna Paramita. You should receive that name and practice it." Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. At the start of the first lecture, I have already talked about the meaning of this sutra's name, Diamond Prajna Paramita. This sutra can help a practitioner attain a wisdom that is very sharp, which can eliminate the worldly stress in our minds. It can turn our minds toward the Prajna Paramita wisdom and away from the worldly thoughts. Over a period of time, if a practitioner does not improve or see a glimpse of his pure mind, then eventually he will get tired and give up. Because of this, the heavenly God at the first, second, and the third level practice fervently, but after a period of time with no improvement, they too would get tired and give up. If you read the Sutra of the Amitabha Buddha, you will see that all those who get reborn in the Pure Land have a persistent or never give up attitude. No matter what happened in their lives, they would never give up their practices of becoming future Buddhas. Their commitments are solid and unwavering. If you truly understand the teaching of the Diamond Sutra, practice, and were able to eliminate the four forms, then you will be unwavered in your path. This sutra is very important. Many masters in the Zen and other sects have used this sutra as a cornerstone of their practice. I knew of one master from the age of 16 until his death at 86. His hand always carried the Diamond Sutra and never read any others. 3 months before he died, he informed all of his disciples the date and time when he would go. He even told them which type of nirvana he would enter. Do you see that? What is the purpose of studying many different types of practice? All you need is one to help you cross over to the Buddha land. Those of you who practice the Pure Land technique of repeating the Buddha's name to enter Samadhi, you should continue to do that. Even if the 28th Patriarch, Bodhidharma, appears and says, I have a meditation technique that can liberate you in a minute, and you still would not give up your practice, then that is persistence and unwavering. Likewise, if you are currently practicing omnipresent hearing technique, Quan Vien, and someone came and said, I will teach you repeating Buddha's name, and in a blink of an eye, you will be in the Pure Land, and you decline the offer, then you are truly persistent and unwavered. Let me remind you again, so that you can be diligent in your practice. If you study many sutras, then you are no different than one of the Buddha's disciples, Ananda. If it was not for the Buddha's help, then he would not have been one of the holy monks, but instead would be pulled away by Matangi into the world of desire. He would have reincarnated into countless lifetimes to pay for his mistake. So remember that when you follow the Buddha's path, you have to improve your conduct and character. The more knowledge you have, the more stress and delusion will appear. Worldly thoughts have no value in our way. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Now back to the sutra text. Subhuti. The Buddha have said, Prajna Paramita is not really Prajna Paramita, which is why it is called Prajna Paramita. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Do you see that? In the Diamond Sutra, These lines are similar to what is used in the Tathagata meditation technique. These lines mean the prajna wisdom cannot be explained or signed on by words or vocabulary. You have to use paramita, which is the transcendental wisdom, to illustrate it. This wisdom cannot be seen or recognized. Only the practitioner knows of it. The Diamond Sutra practitioner is a person who practiced the paramita wisdom. The Buddha used words to name prajna paramita because prajna paramita is within the wisdom of the mind. It is not really prajna paramita, which is why it is prajna paramita. Likewise, a practitioner who has already eliminated his biases and his ego entity is the one who can apply the prajna paramita. He has the transcendental wisdom that only a true practitioner can realize. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. When I try to explain these lines, I can only do so much with the usage of words. But if you want to use your meditative mind to see the root meaning of it, you could easily spend 5 to 10 years to truly understand it. When you listen to the descriptive words, it sounds easy. But to truly see it in your mind, it is difficult. For example, there is a saying that if you eliminate greed, anger, and ignorance, then you have become a Buddha immediately. However, how can you eliminate them? If you want to eliminate greed, you would have to spend countless lifetimes of practice. If you want to eliminate anger, then you would need another countless lifetime of practice. If you want to eliminate ignorance, then that would need another countless lifetime. So if you want to become a Buddha, you would need 3 countless lifetimes to become successful. A-di-đà Phật. 3 easy words of greed, anger, and ignorance. But you would need countless lifetimes to overcome. It sounds easy based on your worldly thought, but to enter the pure mind is not that simple. Now back to the sutra text. Subhuti, what do you think? Did the Tathagata lecture on the Dhammas? Subhuti answered, Were honored one, the Tathagata did not lecture on the Dhammas. A-di-đà Phật. This line completely destroyed the bias in one's mind. If you spoke to anyone who has never been introduced to the Buddhist Dhammas or the pure mind, and said that the Tathagata has never lectured on the Dhammas, then he will disagree with you right away. There are 12 volumes of sutras on display, and countless Dhammas have been taught. Then why do you say that the Tathagata did not lecture? Are you an outsider who came here to defame Buddhism? An educated person will never accept this and endlessly debate it. However, when you view it from the pure mind, then it is different. What does the lecturing? The lecturing started from the pure mind and went through the bodily function so that it could be expressed outward. Who truly saw the Tathagata lecturing? He saw the form of an incarnated body of the Buddha, which is under the influence of birth and death, and change through time. Whoever sees his own pure mind knows that it is always in bliss. There is not even a thought in this pure mind. So what can be used to do the lecturing? A-di-đà Phật. This line is referring to the Tathagata's mind, which all beings have. Therefore, in Buddhism, if you debate or use words to determine who is high or low, then you are on the wrong path. There is a saying, a slight misunderstanding is 1,000 miles of separation. This is why if you practice without a true master showing you the way, then you can easily get stuck in a path that generates blessings, which are applicable only within the 6th world of rebirth, that you yourself would be trapped in. This is because you have no understanding of the causeless world. Your pure mind belongs to the causeless world, where there is no birth or death. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Now back to the sutra text. Subhuti, what do you think? Are there a great many tiny particles in the great chiliocosm? Subhuti answered, Well-honored one, great indeed. Subhuti, the Tathagata declared these tiny particles are not really tiny particles. They are temporarily called tiny particles. The Tathagata also declared all these worlds are not really worlds. They are temporarily called worlds. A-di-đà Phật. The Tathagata want to eliminate the forms of the outside world. If you are stuck on worldly forms, then you would not be able to see your pure mind. Countless tiny particles can create a world. But if you continue to split these particles, then it will become emptiness. So tiny particles and the world can be transformed. Therefore, they can only be temporarily called tiny particles and the world. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.